Behold, the item box. Within its recognizable roulette holds your fate. Will you get that red shell that'll help you squeak by in first place? Or you get that mega mushroom to crush your foes? Or you just get a blooper? That squid that I hate. Playing a more secondary role in the earliest games in the series, the items have come a long way, being a staple in their own right. So how does Mario Kart World's item set fare? Do they have a nice variety that's fair and balanced? Well, you know what we're gonna do. We're ranking them in the best way I know how, and that is with a tier list. We're going from worst to best with this one, starting with the F tier, which I've lovingly labeled Nothing I Could Do! In this tier are the items which I don't even ever want to see, and if they're all gone, I think the game would be much better for it. And taking the inaugural spot in my There's Nothing I Could Do tier is the coin block. Shocking to absolutely no one. I absolutely cannot stand this fucking item. The idea of it is somewhat interesting, right? It's a way for you to get a bit more coins than you normally would. It pulls apart when you realize, oh, like there's a coin item? In what position would you need a coin block over a coin? They've invented another item that does something that another item already did. We all know what the coin does, right? The coin is supposed to be a way to balance the upper places so that somebody doesn't immediately have two protection items, which I think is quite annoying when it happens against you, but I think is a fair balancing tool. With the coin block, it not only does it step on the coin's purpose, you grab some extra coins, which in the positions you typically get them, you're not gonna need. And on top of that, which is the worst bit, you end up giving more coins to the people behind you. Could someone figure that one out, please? Whose idea was this coin block? They should have worked like New Soup 2. You know, New Soup 2 attaches to your head, you can run around, and then if it gets hit, your coin block goes off. That's great. It can work like that. And apparently it works well in Tour because it keeps your combo going, at least from what I understand. In this game, where there's no combo system, it sucks! I don't know in what reality they thought, oh, we'll bring the coin block, but not the score system. It doesn't quite work. I don't know whose idea this was. So I'm curious, guys, what do you think of the coin block, eh? Gives you more coins with the trade of giving people behind you coins as well. I don't understand why you'd ever want to go for that trade. In a game as chaotic as Mario Kart World, you never want to get this item. In the middle of a pack is like a very dangerous place to be in a knockout tour, because people behind you are going to have triple mushrooms, golden mushrooms, bullets. So you want to make sure you secure your legacy. And there's nothing worse than being like 5th, 6th place, 12 people qualifying to the next round, and you get a fucking coin block. You have to move purposely side to side if you want to keep others from grabbing them. It's actually so unbelievable. But do you know who has been historically quite useless and an item I never want to get? Give it up, gamers, for an F tier staple in every single game it's ever been in, gamers. Can you give it up for the blooper? Never been good, baby. Give it right, give it, come on. Never been good. Never been good. Yes. Yeah, the blooper kind of speaks for itself, really. It inks the enemy screens, but there seems to be a really weird balancing act between the I'm gonna screw everyone else in front of me type items, right? I think they unironically perfected this type of item in the very first Mario Kart game, which was Super Mario Kart, right? The lightning bolt. If you're in the back of the pack and struggling to make any places, shrinking everyone down to be able to snag a couple of places, a brilliant way to fuck everyone else over in a quite balanced format, especially when only one, if two, appear every race. It seems like every other instance they've tried the fuck everyone in front of me item, it's never been particularly good. It's not really been as bad as the blooper, but they've never been particularly good. I think also there's another item we're going to talk about, obviously. There's also that power block from Wii, which I just felt was very underwhelming as well. Blooper's just, I don't know how it survived. Is it a Nepo baby? I don't know. You should have been a playable character, not an item. That's what you should do, Blooper. Next game, hopefully. Next game, gamers. Next game. There is no instance in which the coin block is ever being useful, literally. Whereas the blooper, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times the bloopers, I've noticed the blooper actually helped me. But that's more times than the coin block has ever helped me. Those are my F tier. So we're going to move one tier up. And I think there's only one spot in this, gamers. And we all know where it is, gamers. Already become the most controversial item in video game history, gamers. Give it up for the one, the only. You love him, you like him, you can't live without him. It's the Crystal Ball comic item. Let's go. Yes, yes.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I love changing everyone's characters and putting some hazards down that affect them, but also affect me too. Wow, it's game design. I love gambling. Just forget about the fact that this is the only item that you can use to get an entire subset of characters. So what it does is that it turns the enemies in front of you into a themed character and puts hazards on the field, usually based around that character. And generally, it actually can be quite fun. Like, for example, I've had some knockout tour games where, you know, when you're driving towards towards the Airship Fortress, that spiral section, and someone's used the Karmic, and there's been a load of like items on that path, charging chucks. It's made that part quite chock-a-block and quite thrilling to race through. But considering that Mario Kart World typically doesn't have a lot of hazards, Karmic being the one instance in which a lot of hazards appear on a track for you to like actively drive around, and essentially making the game a bit more fun when you're driving in straight lines, is quite unfortunate. At least from my experience, it doesn't really affect the race in front as much as I'd like, you know? The hazards that are spawned aren't so threatening that it's going to help you gain a few extra places. So if anything, I just kind of wish that Karmic was like a regular hazard in intermission track / knockout tour, in that occasionally Karmic will fly around and drop a bunch of extra hazards, because the hazard edition of what Karmic does is actually quite fun to swerve around and drive around. It makes the races when you're driving on these sometimes aggressive straight lines a lot of fun. That fun factor being locked behind an item, which if you're asking for my absolute nonsense game theory, is the reason why there's not a lot of hazards in the intermissions, because they didn't want it to add a lot of hazards to the track so that you get Karmic and adds way too many, so they tempered them so that Karmic could bring them to a normal amount. That's my game theory, by the way, and you can't convince me otherwise. And because of my headcanon, he's going to stay in D tier, and because of the fucking gambling nonsense. When I saw Karmic for the first time, I low-key thought it was a PlayStation item. I think everyone did, to be honest. Everyone saw the various shapes and were like, oh yeah, it must be him. Karmic would be better if he appeared more common. Yes, literally, they just need to make him more common, but they don't seem to be, which is honestly sad. He should just be a regular gameplay event rather than an item, or a third lap Karmic activates. Literally, that'd be so much more engaging. But instead, we've got an item that appears extremely rarely to make the track more engaging, that locks an entire subset of characters behind. I don't know whose idea that was, but Nintendo, fire them. Fire them today, not tomorrow. Thank you. Now we get into a bunch of items in the C tier that a good chunk of them I don't have a lot to say about, so I might rapid fire through some of these. But I think the inaugural spot in my C tier is going to go the lowest spot in the C tier. A bit predictable. It's going to be the coin. The coin is a necessary evil, and to be honest, I feel like you can get someone's thinking about Mario Kart depending on where they place this item. I feel like if you place this item in the F tier, I don't think you're thinking straight, brother. Somewhere here is about where the coin belongs. I think you have to acknowledge that as a balancing tool, it is pretty nice, but to get is very frustrating. So I think it balances itself out, and you can just stay there, really. It is maybe a tiny bit better in this game, since the coin cap is a lot higher, so to get the coin is maybe a bit more engaging, you could say, but it's not so much where I'm going to put it anywhere higher than C, really. I think another item that also belongs here is the gold shell. I like the idea of having more items that screw over every player in front of you. I want them to be as interesting as the lightning, but not as shit as the blooper. So obviously, if you don't know, you throw the gold shell, and it goes along the middle of the track the same way a blue shell would, and attacks anybody within a straight line. It does also drop coins, which is quite annoying, because ideally you'd throw it and want to grab the coins, but another player in front of you could just take the coins that the gold shell spews, so you're kind of inadvertently helping your opponent, which is why it ranks this low. But I also think it ranks this low too, because I wish they did just a little bit more with it than just it going in the middle. I've seen some people say they wish it could swerve, which I think would be a bit too much, because having it swerve like this would make it a bit too unpredictable. What I wish it did is that normally how it works is that once you throw it, it immediately locks onto the middle lane. What I would like is if it took a shallower path to the middle lane. So say, for example, you're all the way over here and you throw it. Instead of it going immediately to the middle and then going forward, it would kind of take a shallower path to potentially catch some people out. Then it goes down the middle. I think doing that would be such a good change to maybe bump it up, like maybe even to B, I would say. It'd be a B tier item. But so far, it's just kind of a bit underwhelming when I get it. I was the opposite. With how many hazards there are, it's useful to have one pass by to try and steal. If you're the thrower, you'd want to try and find a good distance for people to use it. Yeah, maybe. I can see that. It's peak mid. Honestly, that's the best way to put it. The next item is something that I like the fact that it's in the game. It's just I can't really say I've ever found too many uses for it, which is the feather. I'm so happy that the feather is back. I'm gonna be honest, I actually love it. The idea of like being able to jump over hazards that are, you know, shells that are coming behind you, hazards that are in front of you, it's really, really cool. It's just from my experience personally, I've just not really found too many instances where it ends up being as useful as I'd like, really. So I think this is more of a placement of experience as opposed to the concept. Because I love the concept of the feather. In my, like, what's it, 50 hours now playing Mario Kart World, there's been too few instances where I'm like, God damn, I'm so glad I got a feather right now, because now I can take that cut and then, yeah, you know? There was that one game I played where, was it in Peach Stadium in a knockout tour? I think I streamed it live, where I ended up having a feather to get onto the upper grinding rail. That was really cool. I could probably count on one hand how many times that sort of interaction has happened. Because if you're using it as an invasive item, you'd rather just get a green shell. Because, yeah, you could jump over a red shell, but sometimes you might be rounding a corner, so you might not have the opportunity to jump over a red shell. So as a protection item, it's not as useful as it could be. And as a getting to secret paths, I have not gotten it enough times in the right instances where I've needed it, where I found it to be too useful. So either it's not appearing in the right spaces, like placement-wise, or it's not appearing commonly enough for me to get. Either way, the fact that in 50 hours of game time, I've only maybe found a handful of instances where I'm like, I'm glad I got this item and I was readily able to use it, is a shame. Because you never want an item to feel that way. Whenever you get a blooper, the worst thing about the blooper is not the fact that its effect is quite mid, it's the fact that you are now going, there was another item I could have got that was so much more useful. And that's how the feather has felt to me so far. This is the one item where if I do another tier list like this in a year from now, if they up the frequency enough, maybe they change the placements, definitely. As of now, I'm going to leave it here. I will say the next item though, I think tends to be the dash food. It's basically just a mushroom, but it changes your costume. Sometimes I don't want my costume changed, okay? Sometimes I don't want my costume changed. And sometimes you guys might go, oh, you can turn it off. I don't want to turn it off because I might turn off me getting a new costume. So it's like a it's like a mushroom, but it comes with a catch-22. Why is there only one food item? Is there 3 levels? Oh, I guess there is 3 levels, but I only have just the one. But yeah, either way, I'd put basically just all 3 here anyway. It's just kind of annoying. Just grind through the items to turn off forever. Yeah, that's kind of the point. What would actually be kind of cool is if there was some decision-making behind it, right? Sometimes there's some instances where there's Yoshis all the way out at the end, right, chat? But sometimes I don't want to go all the way out to take a Yoshi's if I know I'm only going to get a 1-tiered dash food item. If I was to go all the way around, then it's a 3-tier dash food item where it's a decent boost. Yeah, do you know what? That'd be kind of straight. The next item is going to be the Babomb. I'm actually not as big on the Babomb as I used to be. The reason I don't like the Babomb that much is because it doesn't explode when someone's near it now, which actively kind of annoys me. I understand why they've changed this. With 24 players, you don't want the bomb exploding as someone passes it. It's probably a bit more fair if someone drives into it to explode it. But like, how many instances is somebody actively driving into the bomb you just threw? Throwing a bomb in a deliberately small line and having it right there, and to the point where, hey, if you drive around it, you're gonna blow up anyway, was actually really, really satisfying. And the timing of throwing a bomb was so much more fun because of that. You aiming it was the important bit, and if you aimed it well, the game would kind of help you in that regard. The fact that you have to actively drive into it or wait for the very long time to expire just makes it a much less fun item to use. It is quite useful as protection, I guess, because if someone shells, the bomb obviously explodes, so it's like kind of a backwards explosion, which is kind of neat. I don't know, I'm just not really that big on the bomb being like, you need to be very close to it to detonate. Maybe you should have triple bombs to counter it. Yeah, like even just double bombs would be kind of fun as well. Like, double bombs would be great, honestly. This type of bomb, but like 2 bombs, would be kind of neat. That would actually be kind of neat. And right above it is going to be a singular banana. It just works as intended. It's relatively simple. It does its job. There's not really much to say about the banana, right? It doesn't annoy me as much as the bomb does, so I'll just leave it on the C tier. Because in past games, it'd spin you out once, and I think in 7 onwards, they made it so it spins you twice, so it's a bit more of a threat. I think they've kept that in World as well, which is quite neat. It still slows you just as much as it used to. I'm going to say, now this was going to be in C, but I think it makes the slight jump to B is the blue shell. And I'm going to be honest, chat, it is entirely because I like the extra animation they added. That's as simple as that. I want to be honest. I just like that extra little flair of an animation when you throw the blue shell. It feels a lot more impactful because the blue shell is an item where you, the player, are never going to really feel the impact of it as you are. Because nobody gets this in what, like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th? You're not going to be the one that's actively benefited from getting the blue shell. So you want it to feel like you're doing something, right? What's also one thing I love about it as an offensive tool as well is that it uniquely slows you down a lot more than the regular items do. Think about Mario Kart World, guys. If there's one thing you love about this game, right, is that you get hit, but your character just kind of keeps going. Like, your character will tumble over when hit by a car, but keeps driving. Your character will slip off a banana skin, shake it off, and keep going. The blue shell's one of the few items where you literally jump up, tumble, go to a complete stop, then have to keep going. So I like the fact that in this game, in a game where you get hit, but you have to keep going. You get hit, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. The blue shell is that one item that makes you really stop in your tracks. So they gave it a bit of a buff compared to the rest of the items, which I quite like too. And I think that combined with the animation is enough to put it in the B tier. Else in the B tier goes, I think this is relatively simple. It's the mushroom. The reason why it's in B and not in C is because in a game with so much off-road, especially with the intermission tracks and the knockout tour, having a mushroom is just a lot more useful. It's just very useful in this game compared to other games. There's a lot of off-road stuff you can do. Having a mushroom is just a lot more useful than it used to be in past games. So whereas you might say CC+, I'm going to put it in B. I quite like it. And I think the other item is the boomerang flower. Is what I would say if it wasn't fucking nerfed to the ground. We're gamers. It has to make the drop to the C tier, unfortunately. It sucks. I've used it, gamers. It fucking sucks. You know what? Actually, better yet, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that now. I wish I was joking, but you know, I want to make the retroactive call to put it in the D tier. It actually sucks so much bollocks now. Yeah, so how it used to work before patch 1.20 is that it would kind of have a bit of a homing effect. If the opponent was right here in front of you and you threw the boomerang there, it'd give you a little bit more homing ability to hit your opponent to make sure you snag that hit. But obviously as a trade-off, unlike the Mario Kart 8 version where you could throw and grab another item, you had to keep it and throw it at least 3 times. And considering how much fun the battle items are to use in World, when I say battle items, I mean stuff like Hammer, Ice Flower, the Mega Mushroom, the stuff that like actively harms like people right next to you. The boomerang was probably the most fun to use of all of them. So the fact that they nerfed it so its homing ability is a lot less than it used to be, it just makes it a lot less fun to use. Now I just feel like I have Mario Kart 8's boomerang with Mario Kart World's timer. It's literally the worst of both worlds, and I don't know whose idea that was. The reason it's not an F is because even though it is nerfed, you can still score some hits, so it's at least got some use, but it just kind of sucks. It's literally just the worst of both worlds. Even, like, let's say in a hypothetical world, I got used to the new non-homing and I was able to aim it better. The fact that I still have to aim it in an intense Mario Kart game with 24 players and all this chaos, I still have to focus on aiming and I have to deal with the meter, is just really annoying. So I'm going to leave you in D. Oh, now we're going to the B+ tier. I'm a bit of a fan of this item. First is going to be the red shell. In a game as intense as Mario Kart World, having something that just does a bit of damage is kind of neat. Can't go wrong with it, really. Not really much to say about the red shell. It does red shell things. But you know what's even more exciting to use, though? The fucking hammer. The hammer. You guys have no idea how much I fucking love getting this item. Getting this item, I feel like fucking open season Ascot. I feel like driving in my car right after a meal. The amount of times I've managed to catch people off guard with a lingering hammer is fantastic. I absolutely adore this item. It's probably one of my favorite battle-oriented items they've added into the game. If you're asking me, I feel like it appears enough for both the enemies and you, where it feels like quite like a moment, but I don't think it appears so frequently where it's annoying. This is one item where I think they've perfected its frequency. Another pair of items that also I'm just a big fan of are the Ice Flower and the Fire Flower. Again, in a game with 24 players, using these more like combat-focused items, they are so much more fun than they were in 8 Deluxe. It just felt like I was just chucking them to get rid of them. In this, like, I like the fact that there's less of them than there were in 8 as well, so it's much less spammable. Because I think one issue that 8 had is that the Fire Flower was very spammable, but like if you kept spamming it, the ones that you threw first would despawn before naturally despawning. I think there was like a cap of 6 fireballs at a time. The fact that they lowered the count of the fireballs, but made them much bigger, moved a bit slower too, so people have a chance to maybe dodge once they hear that iconic fire sound. I think it was a nice balancing tool, and it just feels really great to use. Again, just throwing a couple of fireballs in the mix, a ton of fun. And from my experience, I've gotten it enough times where I felt like it was useful enough. I've enjoyed it, honestly. Honestly, if anything, I'd put the Fire Flower above the Ice, because it's a bit of a shame the Ice Flower doesn't have a bit more to it, if that makes sense. I feel like the Ice Flower's like slippery effect could maybe have lasted a bit longer. I feel like the Ice could slip you a bit more if you chuck it at a person at a turn and they just fly off. Yeah, that could work. Honestly, I feel like they could do a bit more with the Ice Flower, which is a bit unfortunate. But as of now, I think I'm a bit of a fan. Some people might think I'm weird for this, but the green shell is going to be the top of my bit of a fan tier. I am a big fan of the new sound they've given the green shell. For me, if you can't tell, I'm a bit of a sound design kind of guy. I love it when powerful items or important items have a very distinct sound to go about. And if you guys know what is that very distinct sound of a green shell whiz away, I don't know, I can't really make it with my mouth, but the distinct sound that it makes is it whizzes. You can literally, if you wear headphones, gamers, you can literally hear it bouncing between your ears, and then like you're thinking, okay, which side is it on? You're like swerving, you're looking behind. Having a green shell kind of like whizzing by you is a lot more fun and tense than it used to be in past games. And I love that little extra bit of sound design they gave it to make it a little extra thrilling to dodge around it. Green over red, like, but it just kind of, for me, it's like red kind of just does its job, and it just does it well. All you need from a red shell is just don't be like the Wii red shell where it's really shit. It's more fun to land a green snipe than just to throw a red shell than the person which people to dodge a bunch. Yeah, exactly. Like the amount of times there's been enough times in Mario Kart games of the past and this one where I've thrown a green shell, deflected on a wall and hit them and like T-boned them, right? Then I have with the red shell, you just gotta hope they don't have an item, which is why the triple greens at the top of the So you're telling me that either I get 3 shells to protect me from anyone near me, or I get to do the same harassing thing, but 3 different times? Oh, so right behind it there is the banana. But the banana is up here as well because, again, in a game where, good fucking lord, there's like 23 other elbows trying to fucking bump into you, having an item that just makes me go, hey guys, stay the fuck away from me for a bit, even if it's just for a second, is unbelievably useful. In my 50 hours of this game so far, the amount of times I've had a triple banana and it's stopped me from getting like annoyed from anyone near me, it's way too useful. In a past Mario Kart game, maybe I would have put it here, maybe I would have put it here, but yeah, it's just so useful in this game. You're just like, stay the fuck away from me, bro. And I think another item I'm a big fan of is the super horn. Is it called a super horn? I actually don't remember what this fucking item's called. I will say the only reason it's not an S, because I do absolutely love fucking super horning people, is because I fucking can't stand that dog shit sound effect. In a game full of amazing sound direction, hammer item, the green shell item, the fire flower, I just don't like the sound it makes. I would say the 8 one didn't sound impactful enough, but this one just sounds like ass. Can I get a... Can I get a star? Can I get a star, gamers? One thing I absolutely loved about the star in past games was that it not only gave you like maximum acceleration, but also gave you a prominent speed boost. In Mario Kart of the modern day, I think 7 onwards, they've kind of tempered the speed boost you get from a star. They've made it max acceleration, but they've not really given it like a speed boost from like, say, double dash. But I think one thing I absolutely love about this one in this game is that, of course, because of the added chaos, having a item that just get the fuck away from me for a set amount of time, having more players to crash into as you roll around, just way more fun. And on top of that, again, sound direction. My beloved, having that like that sound, that P switch about to run out sound as you're just about to finish it, to give you a very, very clear indication as to when it's going to run out. Amazing stuff. The amount of times I've kind of like been in the off-road trying to cut as much as possible and knock out tour, but then I hit a and I just go, whoa, okay, back on the main road, back on the main road. Brilliant stuff. So not only is it more fun in this game, more people equals more fun. This is just great because it has a sound. It has a sound therefore. And I would say rounding out this tier is the bullet. The bullet is still as fun to get as it always was. But if there's one thing I actually love is that getting hit by a bullet bill doesn't cost me an arm and fucking leg anymore. Thank you, Nintendo. Thank you so much. Getting hit by one of these fuckers isn't a death sentence anymore. I absolutely love that. Not only do I like getting it because if I'm getting the bullet, I kind of need it. But also getting hit by it isn't nearly as terrible as it used to be. You made it slow as shit. If anything, that's a good thing. Stop sucking. Stop sucking at Mario Kart. Good. Good, I'm glad it sucks. If anything, that makes it more better, if I'm being honest. Because it gets you a couple of places, which is what you want it to do. You want it to get you back into the fray, but you also don't want it to be fucking terribly annoying when someone whizzes past you with it, which is good. I absolutely love this. Not only do I love it as well because it doesn't like fucking twat you completely across the map, but one thing I love is that if you get hit by it, it removes your ability to drift. So getting hit by one of these can still be really threatening if you're not careful. The amount of times I've been like trying to take a turn and like knockout to a bullet hits me, but I wasn't able to turn and stop this and one, and I lost because of that. So you still have to respect it, but it's not going to twat you across the room like the Mario Kart Wii one does. It's not as nerfed where it doesn't do its job as prominently as it does before, you know? So I quite like it in that regard, but I imagine people are going to disagree with me. I don't know if that's actually the case. From personal experience, it feels like it drops your inconvenient spots far less than previous games. Yeah, I would say so too, at least from my recollection. I don't think it's put me in those stupid spots. I think the star is a lot better than the bullet. Yeah, I could see... I mean, they're in the same tier, so they're really close. I could probably do this and be happy with it, if I'm being honest. Oh, now we get into the A+ tier gamers. And the inaugural spot in this is the lightning bolt. This is the part where people tell me on a technical level, but Musty, it sucks. Musty, it's not as good as it used to be. Guys, animation, therefore. That's all I gotta say to you, nerds. I just like the fact that when I use it, everyone goes... You know? And also, when you get hit by it, it's also not terribly fucking annoying. Oh my god, so it feels cool to use because it still has that lightning effect of everyone gets screwed over for a couple of seconds, but also getting hit by one isn't nearly as annoying. I like the fact you, the player, probably have to combine this with another item to get more use out of it than immediately screwing everyone else. Does that make sense? Say, for example, you got the lightning bolt, but you saved it for the final turn. Yeah, you could probably use the lightning bolt and get a couple of places, but say you got a lightning bolt and combine it with a mushroom that you saved, or triple mushrooms. You're cutting through all that grass. Everyone just lost their items. You're cutting through all that grass. Bob's your uncle, baby. You're in first place now. Amazing. The next item that is going in the, what's the A+? It's the triple reds. You have the combination of, hey, get the fuck away from me, with the power that 3 shells give you. The triple shells were always a very, very good item to get, but it's even more amazing now because it's defensive and as offensive as it used to be. The only reason it's not in S is because, again, it simply just does the job as opposed to doing anything crazy. There's one more item in this tier, which is, the triple mush. The triple mushroom is the top of the A tier. Good lords. The triple mushroom, just like I've in another game, it probably would have been like here, maybe even just here. Good lord, with the amount of off-road this game has, fuck my life, this item is more important than ever. The amount of knockout tour games that have been absolutely saved because of this item is unbelievable. In past Mario Kart games, yeah, you could get triple mushroom, but like, there wasn't really too many opportunities to go as off-road as you used to, right? Yeah, there was the Cheeseland bit in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but that was kind of like a kind of set-in-stone shortcut that you saw that now you have the item to use and you could take it, right? But with the triple mushrooms, because of just how much off-road there is in this game and how many creative ways that you, the player, can use it, it feels like every time I get it and I try to go off-road, I immediately just go off-road and use my first one. And then I have to kind of play a bit of like mathematics, right? I've got 2 more mushrooms. I have this much off-road to cut. Can I cut like, do I risk it by cutting all of it? Do I go like this much and then come back in? Like it's almost like a little mini game in and of itself, right? With the amount of off-road there is. The amount of like off-the-cuff shortcuts I've taken because of the triple mushrooms, actually brilliant, honestly. And it's not even just a case of 3 boosts, therefore it's better than 1 boost, but the amount of custom kind of shortcuts that you can take, even if they're not necessarily custom shortcuts, the fact that you're thinking them on the fly makes them feel a lot more custom than they actually are. You get to be the one to decide when are you going to use it. There's so much thinking that has to do with this item that I absolutely love it now. Far more thinking than it had to be in any other past Mario Kart game, and I think it has to be in the A+. It just about misses out on the S tier, and I think there's 3 items that happily take this spot, and the first one is going to be the gold mushroom. Imagine everything I said about the triple, but more. That's basically the gold mushroom, really. They managed to take an item that sucked in 8 Deluxe, and because of the absolute off-road nonsense they managed to pull off in this game, this feels absolutely amazing. Genuinely one of the best redemption stories to ever do it. Holy, I love the golden mushroom in this game. Not only is it just as satisfying as ever, just spamming the button always. Not only do you get that extra, again guys, sound design, my beloved. Not only do you get that extra sound that plays every time that gets higher and higher pitched as you go, it goes higher and higher. So you like, it naturally feels like you're coming to an end, but you also have the meter there to indicate exactly when it's gonna run out. Everything about this item has been fine-tuned to be so much more better than its 8 Deluxe counterpart. I feel like the reason they designed even half the game the way it was is just to make this item good again. I'm thoroughly convinced of that, and no one's convinced me otherwise. I absolutely love the golden mushroom, and I love getting this item every opportunity I get. But there's one item I love slightly more. It's the boo. No, they just did one simple thing, chat. If you don't know, you can go off-road with this thing now. And it was easily one of my favorite things about Mario Kart DS. And they brought it back. And I absolutely love it for that. And there's also another thing, a second thing that I absolutely love about this, is that the person using it is no longer entirely invisible. The amount of times, gamers, where I was just driving in 8 Deluxe, and like I went from like 5th to 6th, and I'm just like, what the hell? Why did I just drop to there? And it's like someone just appeared in front of me, like, well, how was I supposed to know you were there? What the hell? I know you're supposed to be invisible and invisible to attacks, but like, why can't, like, can we like maybe find a way? And I love that they finally balanced it where you can still see the person. They kind of obviously like faded out and intangible, but now you know where they are, so you're like, okay, he's invisible, I can't hit him now. So not only does it work as good feedback for you, the person going up against someone that used the boo, but the fact that you can now use it off road is brilliant. Come on now. I just love the boo. I don't think there was going to be any shocks, gamers. The best to ever do it. The most fun return to form ever made in any game ever. Give it up, gamers, for the mega mushroom.
You want to see me do it again?
No. I'm a simple man. I see good sound design. I upvote. And using the Mario World spin jump stomp to indicate that you squish someone just makes squishing people far more fun. And while it's annoying every single time I stream this fucking game, the moment I see the indicator behind me, I know I'm getting squished. I don't feel that bad, because I know I do exactly the same thing. Because it is just far too satisfying to just drive into people in this game. You can go off-road, it offers you a good boost, invulnerable to every item, including lightning bolts too, and it just feels good to squish the fuck out of people. What's not to like about the Mega Mushroom? It is everything I love in Mario Kart consolidated into one item. And there you have it, gamers. That is my Mario Kart World items ranked. So what did you make of that, eh, gamers? Any hard agreements or disagreements? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. That's what it's there for, eh? But not before leaving a like if you've made it this far already. And while you're doing that, as always, a big thank you to all the members who make this all possible. Starting with the wizards looking oh so wizardous. A big thanks to you in particular. And of course, the Royal Guard scrolling across the screen right now. And the knights you can see in the description. The next video will be the next stop on the course ranking world tour, so I hope you're looking forward to that. Trust me, it's a bit of a doozy. Also, if you're curious, yeah, I did see that Nathaniel Bandy made a revised version of his Mario Kart World ranking too. I'll be sure to add a an extra stop to the world tour just for him, eh? I mean, it's only fair, right? As for me right now, I think as of right now, as of this recording, Kirby Forgotten Land DLC is out, so I want to have a bit of fun. I'm going to go ahead and buy that once I'm done with this. But I did promise my fiance we'd hang out today, so I'm not going to get a chance to play until tomorrow, actually. How about you guys? Gaming hard or harder gaming? Let me know. If you are curious about that Nathaniel Bandy reaction or you missed it, it's the top right video over there. And of course, the second channel has so much stuff for you. Perfect for that background gameplay. I'll link one of my favorites on the bottom right. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and the other one if you haven't already. And until next time, there's your lot.